Ladies and gentlemen, this is your final boarding call for the good ship SS tomorrow.
Today on The Friendly Futurist, all about urban mining. And welcome back to another episode, and today we're going back to one of my favourite subjects, which is all about the circular economy and regeneration. And there's a topic that you may not have come across, that is urban mining. Now, urban mining, as opposed to mining, the ones you go out to the remote areas of the outback and dig up dirt and mine the minerals, is actually, as the name suggests, it's using the metal that already pre-exists, smelt it down, and gives a new lease on life. Now, today's guest is Don Weatherbee. He's from Alberta in Canada, and he's from Regenx, which is a urban mining company that recycles catalytic converters for diesel machinery and gives the old catalytic converters a whole new lease of life. And this gives me a really interesting concept when it comes to the circular economy. You see, when we think about recycling, we actually are downcycling. You know, paper becomes toilet paper, paper becomes brown cardboard becomes paper, that sort of thing. Plastic bottles get melted down into park benches, but a true recycling means that the material goes round in a loop, comes back in a similar or the same state. Today's guest talks about that in the project they're doing. It's actually across the border of the US and Canada. He's in Alberta, his plant's down in Tennessee. Geopolitically, it's a bit of a minefield, but we're not going to go in there at this point in time. Anyhow, Don is coming up after the break. And welcome back to another episode. And here on the Good Ship SS tomorrow, we've got a special guest. We've got Don Weatherbee from Regenx, and he's from Alberta up in Canada. And we're able to talk all things about the circular economy and mining. And it's a very exciting product, particularly with recycling catalytic converters, which seems a little bit left field, but trust me, this story is really great. Don, welcome. And as with all my guests, can you just give us a quick rundown about your journey so far and start wherever you want to start?
Sure. So, accounting background.
Yeah.
Came out of school with an accounting degree and joined a mining company, a coal mining company, and worked my way through that, and then changed to a contract miner up in the oil sands of Canada. And after a little while that, I got an opportunity with Regenx, and I thought that was going to be in another mining and exploration type thing. But as we started to look at technology, and our first look was at material processing. We were going to look at extracting gold from old tailings piles with the process that we had. And that, once you start in a technology, people start asking questions, and we ended up looking at e-waste. And then we had an opportunity that presented itself on recycling the platinum and palladium out of catalytic converters. And so that's where we came to here.
So just take a little step back. What's the mission behind Regenx, and how is it positioned in the market?
So we're positioned into a niche in the catalytic converter markets. Catalytic converters have been recycled for a long time, but most of those were gasoline. And we're focused in on the diesel side. And the big difference is that the honeycomb structure, and just for people to understand, a catalytic converter is used to convert gases from harmful smog type gases to less harmful because it's actually creates CO2.
Yeah.
But you don't have the smog from the 70s, if anybody's been around at that point in time, where the cities were just that layer of dirty air. So catalytic converters have helped to have that issue disappear. But where I was saying is that gasoline ones have been around for a long time, and their honeycomb is built on sort of a ceramic. And the traditional way to recycle them is using a big smelter, a big furnace. And that is easy with the ceramics. But the diesel engines, when they were required to have catalytic converters, they run much hotter, and they found that they couldn't use the ceramics. So they started using silicon carbide as their honeycomb. And silicon carbide is much harder to break down, and it creates operational inefficiencies in smelters. So smelters were sort of ignoring this part of the market, actively making sure that it didn't come into their piece. And it was fine back, 10 years ago or so, because there wasn't a lot of silicon carbide.
Yeah.
Even 5 years ago, it was only about 9% of the market. And today it's about 30%. Okay. And that has to do with about 10, 15 years ago, diesel engines started to require catalytic converters. So there's a lot more end-of-life supply starting to hit the marketplace right now.
Interesting.
And so that's what we do, is we're looking at the diesel side of the marketplace.
Yeah, and I guess too, is not just, making assumptions, not just fossil fuel diesel, but can it be biodiesel as well?
Yeah. Right now, it's anything that needs an emission control. And so the biodiesel in that still creates whenever you burn anything, you have an emission control.
Yeah.
So those parts always still need to have the catalytic converters onto them.
Yeah. I just have to ask that question because I know a lot of people deep into green tech saying, oh, no, he's sold out to the fossil fuels. But no, it's not. It's not. It's all about the circular economy here, folks. So, and speaking of which, for those who aren't cleared up, what are some of the advantages of the circular economy that, from your point of view?
So what we like to look is that we're truly part of the circular economy because what we do, and it's a little play on our name, is we actually regenerate the metal, because what comes out of our end product is actually pure platinum and palladium.
Okay.
And it's the exact same material that's used at the input of the product. So in our process, we actually recreate what was the original product, which is quite different than most traditional recycling. Most traditional recycling is actually downcycling.
Yeah.
Taking white paper, turning it into brown cardboard, all those types of things where you're a lesser product. You're never going back to the original. But with what we do on the metal side, and it's true, and you talked about mining, is that it's a part where we consider ourselves as a global thing, is we're part of urban mining. Yeah. And that's about finding the metals in the urban environment to reuse them and repurpose them as inputs again.
Interesting. And are there any myths about the circular economy you like to bust right now?
Well, I mean, the fundamental one, as I was talking about, is most recycling isn't circular.
Yeah.
Most recycling is downcycling. It's not truly returning pieces to the beginning, and it's not truly circular. Most of the times when we're looking at metals, that's one of the true places that you can get in circular. And it's about figuring out how to collect. Collection is the biggest piece that hampers the circular economy.
Interesting. And of course, when we're talking about circular economy, it's aligned with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Which ones are you aligned to, and have you met some yet? It's another question from a listener.
Well, we haven't met because we're just ramping up. So we're in that startup phase, but the key piece that we see is that sort of the 12th one, like it's a natural fit, which is the sort of responsible consumption and production. So if we can replace metal coming out of the ground with metal that's already been used, that aligns a lot of the sustainable piece. So you're not having to disturb land. And it's also even more than that, is that for the future, there isn't enough in the ground anymore to keep saying that you're going to find more and do that. You're not going to be able to do that. You've got to reuse a lot of what's been in use already, because we keep growing the amount we need.
Yeah.
And finding replacements for diminishing mines is just not going to happen.
Absolutely. And I guess we have to adopt some sort of like a degrowth mindset that just need enough to keep us going, but not endless growth sort of way.
Yeah, that's a fundamental is that there is enough to keep us going as long as we reuse what's already in place.
Yeah. And I guess too, sometimes away from catalytic converters, you probably could find the metals in other places, I guess. I mean, like I know that you can get gold, say, from mobile phones, things like that. So I think,
yeah, and that's what the concept of the urban mining sector is about. It's collecting resources to be reused in the economy again.
Yeah. Now, Don, as this podcast is about the future, how do you envision the space, say, in the 2030s and beyond?
So I'll split this into two parts.
Of course.
Fundamentally, we know that what our product is going to be replaced. I mean, there is going to be a move away from the internal combustion engine and the need for catalytic converters. But that's a long-term process, and it's going much slower than people had hoped. And so there will continue to be a need and a supply. And even after the last internal combustion engine comes off the piece, what we're doing still has a 10, 15-year tail life.
Okay.
Because we don't see the product until the vehicle is retired. And if you buy an internal combustion engine in 2030, well, you're going to keep that to 2040, 2045 type thing. So there'll be a longer term supply of this piece, which then goes, okay, well, then your product's not going to be needed. Well, that's not true either, because one of the core pieces for one of the replacements is hydrogen and the hydrogen economy.
Yeah.
And a key piecing to making hydrogen work is platinum palladium as a membrane.
Wow.
It's used in both the generation of hydrogen and also the usage of hydrogen. So it has to react with this platinum palladium membrane to create either hydrogen or electricity. So there is a growth actually of the requirements for PGMs if hydrogen starts being used in the future.
Fantastic. Yeah, we actually have covered the hydrogen before, and that's a really good point. I mean, I think always hydrogen will save the combustion engine. I mean, we can't all be driving EVs.
No, I mean, I'm in northern Alberta, and the concept of battery life in an area with extreme weather and larger distances is one of the factors that's slowing down the growth of the battery market. Because, well, you get a minus 40 weather, the battery life isn't as robust as a nice little city drive.
Yeah, well, it's the same started playing here in Western Australia. I mean, if you go out in the outback, it's probably 200 k's between towns, and it's not going to range anxiety. It's not going to be I'm not dissing EVs. I know a lot of my listeners do drive them.
No.
They're saying it's just the facts. It's just if you take it out of the city, it's become a bit impractical. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why I'm saying I know EVs are going to be there, and I'm not a shill for anything of that. But what it is it's got its place and its penetration in cities and places where you have a lot more infrastructure. You get outside of large infrastructure areas, then it becomes problematic, and then other solutions need to be brought, which is where the hydrogen and all those things come into play.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I'm really enjoying our chat today, Don. Is there anything I didn't ask but should?
Just that we see ourselves with a product that's needed. We see ourselves with a product that has a future, both in what we're doing, and we see it as something that is a sustainable alternative to what the current marketplace is. And we're in a niche that's being underserved at this point in time.
Yeah, fantastic. And look, I've not really heard of the urban mining, but it sounds really fascinating. I actually might have to dig deeper in future episodes. But Don, it's been a pleasure having you on this morning, and thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much. It was great to be able to talk to you.
Pleasure's all mine. And thank you to Don for his input. And if you'd like to hear more about urban mining, just drop us a link on either LinkedIn or Blue Sky, and we'll go and find some more great guests. I come across this topic for the first time this year, and I'm quite amazed by it. I think we should cover it more, to be honest with you. So have a listen out. Friendly Futurist is a podcast West production. It's produced and edited by me, Dave Mark. If you love this show, please give us a 5-star review on your favourite platforms. Until next time, friends, remember to stay curious, and the future is user-friendly.
Another Podcasts West production.
This podcast is just for educational purposes and it's not financial advice. I'm not a financial planner or advisor. Please do your homework and seek professional help before you take on any adventures.